Morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm very well, despite the fact it's pouring with rain out here.
Oh, we're on our second. Actually, I'm not sure about Monday and before. I can't really remember them. Second lovely, chilly, clear blue sky, sunny day.
Very nice. That would be nice.
Yes, it would be nice, yes.
Thunderstorms for days here. To the point where we're running out of things and we're going to have to walk down Catharina's in the rain, I think.
Oh.
Yeah,
There's no kind of equivalent of shop and drop?
No, but you can call them apparently and ask them to come and get you. But because there's no addresses, I'm not sure how they would guarantee that the pickup man would get to us.
So worth pointing out when you go down today in the rain where you live, for them to understand that, so you can phone up and say, it's Nicola and Sarah, you know where we live, send the man round.
Yeah, the man. Yeah, it's probably not as easy as that. But anyway, let's not get into problem solving straight away. Let's crack on with the podcast.
Okay.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Tell me about your week then.
Well, the thing that's sort of both dominated my week and been yawn-worthy irrelevant to me is that my hosting company lost a server last Friday evening UK time, Friday the 13th. And my website's been down until this morning, the morning of Wednesday the 18th. So the best part of 5 days. And for a lot of that time, it was just a clear, crystal clear, shiny white, empty screen with nothing on it at all.
Oh my God.
Occasionally it had worrying bits of code on it, which they deemed to be a good thing. I didn't pester them because I knew they'd lost a whole server, so there would have been gazillions of people in the same situation as me. And a lot, although a lot of those would have been like me, reliant on it for their livelihood. You know, in terms of, if I was ranking how important I was to them at $14 a month, I would be well down their list of priorities, if that makes sense. So I didn't make an undue fuss about it, but I suppose I've been in touch with them about once a day to say, how's it coming? When do you think I'll be back up? And at some point, whether by accident or design, they sort of disabled live help, which meant I had to call America twice, which isn't ideal, I don't think. I'm not bothered this time, but I can think of times in my life where I tell you why I wasn't bothered, because it didn't affect email.
Yeah, well, that's good. Blimey, you're lucky.
Yes. Although my email isn't handled via my hosting company, I don't know how it's handled. It's handled in some other way. So, yeah, been without a website.
I bet the most annoying thing for you was everyone letting you know, wasn't it?
Well, initially, yes. So lovely Irene, who listens, was the first to let me know via my Facebook page on Saturday morning. I think I'd already discovered it. I went in to do something on Friday night myself and discovered it then. And Deluxe Hosting, who formerly were Liquid Web, had a message up saying, we've lost our server, we're doing our best to restore it as soon as possible. So somebody else then, I think, emailed me, and so I started to put out messages every day on Facebook saying, I'm still down. Yeah, the bummer was that the links I put out in last Friday's newsletters were not clickable by people who read it over the weekend.
Yeah, I've missed your blogs.
Yes, well, I've put that. Well, this is good news and bad news. I'll tell you what happened. Everything, they only were able to restore me from the 9th, which is Tuesday last week. So the stuff that I put out on Wednesday, Thursday, No, Tuesday, 9th was Monday last week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week. I've sent out again this morning. I think that's right. But everything that was in draft, all the blog posts that were in draft, so the work I did towards the end of last week for this week was lost. But the brilliant news, I'd already copied and pasted them and made them draft Facebook notes, so I was able to copy and paste them back, or I'm halfway through copy and paste.
Wasn't it?
Yes, it was lucky, wasn't it?
Oh, we can always find something to the bright side of life, us.
Well, yes, an optimist of criminal proportion is what I'm going to call my autobiography. Yes, I mean, but so our recent, falling in love with Facebook notes has acted as a backup for stuff in draft in my back end, and because I've got workarounds, I'm not going to be ugly with them, and I'm still dealing with them because, for instance, all my plugins were deactivated. And I couldn't bear the thought of reactivating those one by one. A man seems to have done that for me this morning, but 4 aren't working. But anyway, there we go.
Well, you're remarkably calm, considering.
I am remarkably calm, and on another podcast, I will tell you why, but not today.
Okay, all right, that's good. Oh, now I'm intrigued.
Well, you know already, but I don't want the listeners to know yet. Right, so tell me now about your week.
I have had quite a week, Judith. My app went live last Wednesday, pretty much just before the show, or just after, I can't remember, and it's been downloaded now in 7 countries. It's a bit like a podcast, it's a bit slow to get going, and I'm doing everything I can to promote it. Including sending out 25 press releases. Sarah did some research for me and got as many emails as she could of, business editors and features editors on business publications. So I sent individual emails, with the press release, which covered the who, why, what, how, when and where, which is what, everyone wants, and they all want good quality photographs, and they want a phone number just in case they want to ring you, because it's obviously deadline tomorrow if they're going to feature you. So haven't heard back from any of them, apart from the chat from the Evening Argus, which ironically is my local big newspaper in Brighton. But I'm thrilled about that, because he sounds like he's going to do a bit of a feature, and we know that the national newspapers watch the regionals, so hopefully that'll be good. And also there's lots of techie people in Brighton, so the fact it's an app might help a lot. So that was very exciting. And Phoebe finished my ident video, which you've obviously seen, and
I have, yeah.
I'm absolutely thrilled with it. The thing is, this is something we should talk about perfectionism one week, because this is something that most people wouldn't have let go, because her editing's brilliant, but my filming isn't all that. That's the weak spot on this. I did some of it on my iPhone, and it's not as good quality as the stuff I did on my camera and all this stuff. And I could have just not let it go, but I'm committed to video marketing now, and I know, and also I want to encourage other people to do it without being perfect, because we can't all have a full-time cameraman following us around with a fantastic quality camera, can we? Like Gary V and Ray and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to, by just doing it, and to doing it in a way that anyone else could do it, i.e. I'm filming footage, I'm supplying photos, she's editing, and anyone could get a kid from a local film school to edit. And I'm just hoping to encourage people to have a go, really, because it's got a load of views, and it's halved my lead acquisition cost by putting the video in instead of a photo. And that was my best performing photo, because I've been split testing photos as well. I brought my lead acquisition cost, and when I say lead, I mean someone who's filled in a survey, so it's a really highly engaged lead, down from £2 a pop to £1 a pop, just by using that video. So video, very engaging. I'm very thrilled with that. Phoebe's thrilled that I'm thrilled. It's all good. Talking of Phoebe, she's had 2 client inquiries from my sending out my little ident video, so it looks like there might be a little business there, which would be nice. And she's also she's hit 5,000 views on her YouTube channel, and it's gone up to 550 already in a week, so it's escalating. So I think that's interesting feedback for anyone doing video marketing, that you need to get to 100 videos as quickly as possible. Are those crows at your end, or are they at my end?
The birds are at my end. I'm not sure they're crows. I can't actually see them. I can hear them.
They sound like crows to me, love. Watch out, you've got the birds.
They're certainly members of the crow family, but whether they're actually crows, I'm not sure.
Oh, really? So you can tell the difference between different members of the crow family?
I can. When I see them, I Google them on an SPB site. Yeah, there's a whole family of birds called... I'll find out what the genus is called for you in a moment. But at the moment, I'm looking at a very weird screen of yours, which is throwing me a bit.
I know. Give me a second when you launch into your next round.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Did you know that crows are as intelligent as dogs?
No, but that's not a high benchmark, is it?
No, I suppose not.
Because dogs are sort of loyal and lovely, and they can understand a few. They can understand a few words. I think dogs can understand something like 150 words, but they're not rocket scientists. But yes, I think we're learning all the time, aren't we? And that's what the David Attenborough programs teach everybody, is that animals are sentient beings and much, much brighter than typically we've given them credit for, though not those of us who love animals, I think.
Yeah. Well avoided on the alienating 50% of our... You managed not to alienate 50% of our listeners there. Well done.
Well, on the dog front?
Yeah, on the dog front, exactly.
I love dogs. I love all animals. I love dogs, but intelligence isn't... it depends, breed dependent, of course. Yeah, but, they're not as bright as some other animals.
No. We have digressed, and we will get back on track. So the best thing is, this morning she sent me the first draft of my first V-zine, which is where she takes snippets of me talking to camera and puts the idents on the front, and then puts funny bits of us, doing things around the village and whatever in between, and adds background music and puts in little flashy bits. When I talk about the podcast, she'll flash up the podcast logo or the episode screenshot or whatever. And oh my God, Judith, it was so funny. It made me laugh out loud really hard several times because, and this is really testing my resolve to not be perfect and not look perfect and just get the content out there without making everything trying to be... I even filmed a bit in bed with my hair sticking right up because I thought to myself, it's raining every day. I'm not, I haven't got the light. If I don't do it now, she's not going to be able to include it. So I just sat in bed and I thought, Casey Neistat gets up and has his hairs all over the shop. Why am I worrying about it? I'm 55 years old. It's not like I'm trying to look glamorous. So watch out for that one because it, in my opinion, very funny. And that's pretty much it for my week.
Okay, very, very good.
What's fueled your fire then?
This is not going to give you very long to do that adjustment on your computer screen because it's a lovely one, but a very short one, which is a client that I really enjoy working with and who is an avid podcast listener. I thought that we had finished our work together in our last session at the end of 2016, but she sent me a message this week saying, when are you going to send me your invoice for 2017? So I've got another year with a client that I love and unexpectedly a joy.
Oh, that's marvellous. Oh, lovely. Well done.
A whole year, which is lovely, because you get a chance to actually do something meaningful in that period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're sort of swinging towards encouraging clients to sign up for a year, aren't you?
Well, I've always offered it. It's instalments or the offer, but yeah, you need a decent chunk of time. And funnily enough, our last session in 2016, because I thought it was our last one ever, I obliged her to do one of those reviews, how far I've come. And the notes went on for several pages and were deeply impressive. So I remember thinking at the time, wow.
Yeah, really good.
And funnily enough, that's on topic, isn't it, for what we're going to discuss in Client Challenge of the Week?
Yes, it is.
Yes, good. So,
depending on which one we go with.
Yes. What's fueled your fire?
What's fueled by fire is that all the tech is done. The website, the membership site is up and running. The app is completely done, and it's even got a Facebook pixel on it, so I can create an audience out of the people who download the app and then re-advertise to them. It's all done largely. So, and Phoebe's coming up to stride, as I say, with the video editing. So I can just concentrate on marketing and content. And I'm going to have so much fun with the content bit. It's just something like fills my heart with joy and gets me out of bed in the morning, nearly. It's still a bit nippy here. So that's really nice. But the other thing is I thought to myself, what else can I do? Because, I don't want to just sit here and just, I want to get things rolling, and I want to get to 200 members as quickly as possible. And so I thought I could go back through my survey respondents and send them a personal email thanking them for responding to the survey and giving them a little bit of advice based on what they said in the survey, because obviously a printout, it shows me what they said. So I did 10 of those yesterday, and I'm hoping that I can then turn each one of those into 10 bits of content for Facebook Live. It's not all going to fit in the weekly V-zine, so I'm just going to do it on Facebook Live and then upload it to YouTube. But the thing that it did was it really made, because I've been feeling a little bit, we've talked about it the last several weeks, a little bit, oh my goodness, it's all about faulty thinking or not being taught to think. And we covered that on last week's episode, and lots of people have got a lot out of that episode, I think. But actually, what it's done is it's got me down and dirty with the fact that these are very real problems to these people who put in, their answers on this survey. So what I'm doing is I'm genuinely trying to help them from where they seem to be right now. And I'm just doing 2 paragraphs. I'm limiting myself to 2 paragraphs, and then I'm offering them a chance to come and, discuss further on the Facebook page or on any social media, because if they download the app, they can get to me on any social media really quickly. So, but it's really made me feel very fired up again about working with coaching clients, even the most newbie of them. So that was a really nice unexpected benefit.
But can I just check? We can't actually join the membership club yet, can we?
Yes, you can. Yes, yeah, you can.
You have to join the waiting list.
You do have to join the waiting list because I want people to opt in. But then as soon as you've joined the waiting list, there is one email that comes quite quickly that says, if you're in a real hurry to start a project, just email me and I will send them back a link to join straight away. But I want people...
Why can't everybody just have the link to join straight away? I don't understand.
Because I'm using this thing where it opens and closes the membership automatically.
Okay. This to me seems somewhat at odds with I'd like to get to 200 members as soon as possible, but only by opening and shutting the cart at intervals. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I might drop it completely, but it's been proven by much testing that if people have a deadline, they're more likely to take action. So the idea of this automated opening and closing the membership is that people come into your list, they get warmed up by means of useful tips. Then the cart openings, the membership opening sequence starts. There's 12 emails every day giving value, giving them some, more advice. And then they've got to make a decision. And
but did you say what the lady was saying? She was saying, can you just send me a quick link so I can join the membership club? Basically, she was saying, I can't cope with all of these emails or work out how to join.
Well, that's not actually what she said, but I have sent her a link and she hasn't joined.
Oh, she told me she had, interestingly. She told me she'd joined the waiting list.
Yeah, she has joined the waiting list, but she hasn't.
Yeah, but then the invitation comes via the email. You see, and she's saying, well, I can't find what I need in emails.
Well, I sent her a personal email to join.
Okay, all right, but should be fine in that case. I'm just trying to understand the process. That's all, and I think I do now.
Okay, cool. So that was it. So it was just interesting how getting down and dirty with what seemed to be simplest problems, and I'd forgotten really how some people have quite basic issues around getting started. It just really fueled my fire again, which was nice.
Very good, very good. Yeah, so fueling both, the same thing has fueled both of our fires, which is working with clients that we like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
Would you like to hear about 18 proven ways to enjoy a successful location-independent business and the freedom to live wherever you like? Own It the Summit is a pack of 18 dynamite interview recordings with globally successful entrepreneurs, sharing their secrets of the real laptop lifestyle. We handpicked each of these people to interview to show you how to set yourself free to design your ideal lifestyle, whether working from home or travelling the world, while running a successful virtual business that you absolutely love. Just visit ownitthesummit.com and get your hands on these life-changing recordings today.
Right, client challenge of the week then. So
yes, off you go. Tell us.
Yeah. Okay, so client challenge of the week. I've had several calls with people who've won They've entered the competition, they've downloaded the app, they've, taken a screenshot and done a review, and they've won 45 minutes with me. And I've been talking to, and a few old clients have come out of the woodwork this week as well. And a recurring theme, which is deeply frustrating to me because I always want to fix things and I can't fix this. And I'm sure that your clients experience the same problem, is that they're not techie. They don't want to be techie. We're telling them not to be techie. We're telling them to outsource. Well, they feel that they're struggling. I know that's not a word you encourage nowadays. It's difficult to find good people. And the problem seems to be, listening to my clients, that they expect one person to be all things. And moreover, they've been seduced by this idea that you can get cheap Filipino labour for $5 to $10 an hour, and they're not willing to pay any more than that. So, holes in people's team seems to be admin and finance VA, a tech VA, and lots of times my clients I've been talking to seem to expect those two to be the same, and they're totally not.
Yeah.
And then they want someone to organise and coordinate everything. They don't want to be the project manager in their business, and they sort of expect this person to do that as well. So how do you get? Are your clients at the stage where they're looking for help? Is any of them got a team? Are they trying to build a team? Are they experiencing challenges? How do you help them?
I don't really do any of this. People do outsource bits, usually tech. The people I've got who've got teams have real world businesses where the people with different jobs are in the building. The admin, and I mean, obviously the first thing as a former accountant that I encourage people to do, and in fact I've had a debate about it already this morning, is about getting a bookkeeper and or an accountant. So project managing, in the sense that you use it and got used under Neil to having a team of people doing different things. Project managing, not one of my issues, more your client's issue, where they're dealing with creating an online business.
Well, it's any kind of business, isn't it? Where you want to outsource and not necessarily have people.
No, sorry, the project management piece goes with an online business.
Well, interesting. The project manager is a misnomer, because when I went looking for a project manager, I accidentally ended up, for the first time, only lasted a week or so, with someone who was massively detail orientated, spreadsheet orientated, and worked in a completely alien way to me. So we didn't get on at all. And then I worked with Sue, who was brilliant actually at it, because she was able to straddle the gap between a creative, raging entrepreneur and someone who, also wanted things to be organised and set up systems and all that stuff. But she didn't actually do the work. She just coordinated all the different outsourcers. And now I get, Patricia and I have worked together for so long, my VA, who's admin and finance really, but she's also really good with bits of software. But I would never try and get her to put a lead page together, for example, because that involves tech and copywriting. So, but she's very good at coordinating people. So what we do together is we chunk down a task into different, bits that need doing. And is that a video editing bit, or is that a copywriting bit, or is that a technical, Infusionsoft kind of putting it together kind of bit, in which case, we talk to Adrian Savage. But it's just interesting. And I've had several conversations this week where people are desperate for ops manager is what we're calling it, rather than a project manager. And they simply can't find them, because they want them to be driving their business forward as if they were them, and taking responsibility for their business as if they were them. We bang on about this. I bang on about this every week. So it's been an interesting experience. And the most annoying thing is that everybody I know who's really good at this stuff doesn't want to do it anymore.
So the client is trying to abdicate, not delegate?
Yes, exactly.
Well, never going to work, is it?
No. And that you can't tell an overwhelmed, stressed client that. That you're not taking responsibility. Perhaps I should.
No, I think you could get them to deal with one thing at a time, sweet Jesus. Where shall we start? Because every little bit of, efficient delegation is eventually time saved for you. And when you get more time, you can be more efficient altogether.
Yeah, and I did. I definitely told her to deal with the financial stuff first. Get the bookkeeping out of the way, bring your accounts up to date. That can be delegated. but not abdicated, obviously. But I've totally forgotten that expression, and that's a Michael Gerber one, isn't it? Where you can delegate, but you can't abdicate. You still have.
Well, it's the huge relief that comes from finding somebody to do either jobs you don't want to do or aren't very good at. You tend to just sort of throw the files at them and leave them to it. And all that mostly does, not in my case when I was doing that work, but all that mostly does is enable the person to fail. I gave you an example actually before Christmas where somebody had outsourced the doing of some of her expenses and was disappointed with what came back, but she didn't understand, and I don't think you do the first time, how to teach. It's a bit like when you have a cleaner. You have to educate the cleaner or the bookkeeper to do it the way you want it done, because they're not mind readers. And if you don't do that, they're going to do the way they like it done. And we don't all like everything done the same way.
Yeah, totally. I'm just thinking about the when Nina, the cleaner, the Albanian girl, came, we had a great long list of what I wanted doing every week. And but then you get into this place where you're in this relationship with someone and you don't want to tell them, I'm hopeless for cleaners. I really am.
You don't want to tell them what?
That they're doing something wrong. Oh.
Because this goes back to that thing you have where you think a disagreement is a confrontation.
Yeah, probably. But I don't have it with Patricia, because what happens with Patricia is because it's more distant. It's less personal. You know, I make a video of what I want doing, and then she does it and makes a tick list out of it, and then we put the tick list with the video. But having said that, you have to know how to do something yourself in order to make a video, and that's not what some of my clients are looking for. They're looking for someone who can perhaps go into, Lead Pages and Infusionsoft or Lead Pages and ClickFunnels or whatever and set up a marketing funnel for them. But they don't actually realise there are people out there charging between $6,000 and $25,000 to do that. So it's unrealistic.
So is there an affordable solution at the lower end for the sort of client you're talking about, or can they simply not outsource that kind of work unless they've got $6,000 to $25,000?
They could if they knew if they knew what they wanted to happen, because they could easily go and find someone who has, say for ClickFunnels certified, for example. There's people coming out of the certification course now, and there's certainly Infusionsoft certified people. But because they charge something like, say, between $50 and $150 an hour, people are scared to hire them. But what they don't realise is that those people are very efficient and quick. So it's almost better to ask for a cost for the job rather than a cost per hour. But they're scared to hire these people because it looks like an expensive cost per hour, but they would get so much done in that hour.
I also think it's because they don't have any kind of awareness of what their own time is worth.
Say some more about that.
Well, let's say... one's own time is generally worth more, even if you are not selling it by the hour, than somebody you outsource to, because of the value of what you can achieve in that time that you would spend puzzling out what this more able person can just do at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. So
it might take you 3 hours to puzzle out how to do something that this perceived relatively expensive person is going to do for $150.
I've got a brilliant example of this from a conversation. This person said, I spent a day trying to puzzle out how to put a favicon on my website.
I rest my case. Exactly. Really? Exactly. Yes. And let's bring up that woman that took a year in the money gym, which cost her $3,500 to make a website. It would have been easier to pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
it's the lost opportunity. It's the opportunity cost of your own time, struggling to work out how to do it.
I think it's also an ability to focus on what's an income-producing activity. Because if you've got something only you can do, whether that's creating content or delivering to the client or whatever, or writing a blog post, those are the things you should be doing. And you should be, working to delegate everything else, from the most time-consuming and easy to delegate, like admin and finance, through to building your funnels. And you could take a good, bright VA and train her, or you could pay for a training course. So, for example, ClickFunnels has got training courses that you can go through and instructional videos. And in fact, if you sign up for ClickFunnels, I think or Infusionsoft, I think there's actually free instructional videos, and you can get your VA to do that. But you have to be prepared to pay the VA while they're learning. And that's another thing that I see clients not willing to do.
I think you could do a deal there, because if the VA is learning, I'm not sure you should be paying them full rate.
No, good point. You could say, I'll pay you half rate.
Half rate while you're learning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely worth doing.
And I think the other thing to work out here is this idea that one assistant is going to be able to be across all of these different functions is just madness, to be honest. There was a guy I spoke to a couple of weeks ago, and the first thing he said was, I want to replace me in the areas of web design, launches, promotions, and I talked to you about how to recompense this person. I went, well, hang on, they're not the same skill set. Just because you, the owner of the business, has been doing all of these and doesn't want to do them anymore, and you learnt them the hard way because you're a bit tight and didn't want to pay, at that point, it doesn't mean that they're all amply done by somebody else. I think people have got unrealistic expectations. Is that what we're discussing?
I think we are, yeah. Because that just makes me laugh, because again, people who've properly trained in how to do a product launch, something I'm facing myself at the moment, they can charge a fortune, or they expect to get a cut of the action, which I would always be very happy to pay, because they'd expect at least a small retainer and a cut of the action, and the bigger the cut of the action depends on how small the retainer is. But again, finding those people is quite challenging. But the overriding thing is that if you want to do this stuff, you have to figure out a way to find these people and negotiate with them to a point where they're going to get on board with you. Because otherwise your business is going to stall. It's going to come to a grinding halt, isn't it?
So let me understand these people that you've been talking to. They are trying to create an online business, or what are they trying to do?
They're either trying to market their existing off-world business online, or they're trying to create a fully online version of their business. Yeah, they're serious business people. I don't want to give. And
they're just run out of time. Is that the issue?
A couple of them are doing so well in the selling front, because that's what they do really well, and that they haven't got. And now they're having to deliver what they've sold, but they don't. Two of them in particular. One's had a pregnant assistant who's sick, actually not very well, and she's just had to stop working completely. And I don't think this person realised how much this techie stuff this girl did. So now she's confronted with her normal VA's just left and her techie VA's just left, and she's got lots of stuff to deliver for clients, and she's struggling to do the delivery and her own marketing.
All right, so let me just understand, but she sells well and she's got a decent income flow.
Yes.
And she's used to outsourcing. She's got to either replace the two, by the sound of it. But you're saying even though she's selling well, she's unwilling to pay for this.
Yes, because she could solve her problems by hiring someone who charges £100 an hour right now.
Well, I've got no sympathy with her at all. I don't understand the problem even here. She's selling well. I understand the problem with people who are skint and the business is in startup and they haven't got the money yet. But people who are selling well, I don't get that at all.
Because they've been seduced by this idea that there are incredibly genius Filipino VAs.
Yeah, get over it. That's my loving advice there is get over it and pay for decent help. You can afford it.
Yeah. But Judith, you're someone, and I'm definitely someone who knows how to do bits of it ourselves. And I like to know how to do things before I then start delegating, because I just enjoy doing it. And it comes easy to me. But, with you've delegated in the past, haven't you? And at the moment, your business is quite simple, so you don't need to delegate too much, or were you...
Well, I do all my own admin and finance, because I used to be an accountant and I'm a fantastic administrator, and that's no sweat to me at all. And I keep everything deeply simple. I don't need a project manager or an ops manager. And since Marion left, I haven't been able to replace the person to help me with my website. And I'm not bothered. I just patch it. So I'm not really in that situation at all. I can think of my clients who outsource to a bookkeeper and an accountant. And certainly when I had a business providing both of those services, we used to think that was the best first decision anybody made. It's a good place to start because most people are not born with those skills, and more than that, they're anxious. And it's interesting we're discussing this in January because in the UK, we're coming up to the 31st of January, which is the deadline for submitting your thing. And everybody's, your accounts and tax online, and everybody's in a sweat about it, despite the fact that I tell them from 6th April onwards every year, let's be doing it now. Let's leave it until next January. And the thing is, what we're submitting in January 17, we did between the 5th of April 2015 and the 6th of April 2015 and the 5th of April 2016. If anybody can remember that, please put your hand up. So, you've got to do it at the time. You've got to do it once a month. It's so simple if you do it once a month. People make a drama about it. I cannot imagine anything worse than leaving it to the last minute and sweating the deadline. And it's so mean to your accountant to give him all their work for a year for every single client in January. So I could get on my high horse about this. But I do think that's a good place to start because the majority of people can't do that. I think tech VAs are readily available.
Yeah, they are, but you have to be willing to spend at least £20 an hour for one.
Well, I don't think that's a problem for most clients I would look after, 20 quid an hour. 50 to 150, you're in a different league slightly.
Well, that's a funnel building tech.
Yeah, exactly. So that funnel building tech doesn't come into my reality or the reality of many of my clients. There's the odd exception there. But yeah, in terms of outsourcing, I'm sold. I do believe that even though these people are sometimes hard to find, and certainly often hard to find first time around, that once you've made up your mind to find them, just like finding, your significant other, put your back into it, believe they're out there and keep going until you do.
See, this is the nub of the thing, is that the conversations I've had this week are all about, I think it's almost like they have to get a load off their chest before they can address the issue. And they know that they have to find people to help them, but they have to have a good moan about the people who have just left first. And then they have to have a moan about how difficult it is and how expensive they are. And, so it's almost like we waste a load of the session letting them get the emotions off their chest before we can then say, well, you're going to need to find someone. So how are you going to do it?
I don't think that is a waste. I think they have to go through that process in order to get clean and clear about, right, now what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to draw up a job spec and we're going to find the person that fits the bill.
That's interesting. So you think that that people need to get through the emotional bits before they can...
Well, I think that your clients and mine do because they're mostly working on their own. They haven't got anybody to vent to. And I think venting is part of the process. They've got to get clear.
So it doesn't... If you had a call with a client then, it wouldn't frustrate you that 3/4 was emotional?
No, it's part of the process.
See, I just think we could have done 4 times as much in that call if we hadn't had to go through the complaints.
But you began this thing by saying that what you like to do is fix things.
Yeah, I do.
And you can't go straight to the fix. You've got to get the person in the place where they're resourced to go for the fix.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's different. Our work is different. Your work and mine is different. I can see now that you've rolled these 2 challenges together, which I thought we were going to do the coaching one first and then this week and the other one.
I think we should definitely do how to make the most of a coaching session next week.
Yeah. Well, you're sort of blown it a bit now, I think, because of that point. The cat's out of the bag there. But it's not a bad thing. I think, I think my work with clients is different from your work with clients. And I can understand why you would be impatient with that because you're keen to get to the results always. And I'm keen to be in the emotion of it with them because that's so prevalent.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's so difficult for, if my client is the head of a team, who else could she talk to about how she feels about everything but me? No. We do get to problem solving, but I've got to give her space to get that out of her system first. Funnily enough, yesterday, I thought about this before this podcast because you hinted about what we might discuss. Yesterday, 4 people came in with quite a business-like agenda and we dealt with that. But all their emotions are muddled up in there. A bit like the thing you said about the cleaning lady. You're not able to say to the cleaning lady, could you do it like this? Your emotions are muddled up in there. And I think everybody, at our level of business, actually at any level of business, the person you're dealing with is a human being who's got all of these complex issues and none of them are the same. Your issues are not the same as mine. My issues are not the same as the client. So I do understand your frustration and the sense that you think that they've wasted a session. But actually, I'm not sure that session is wasted as long as they leave with a clear plan of what they're going to do about it.
Yeah. And you make your clients take notes, don't you? You don't take notes, or you do take notes for your own use, don't you?
I take notes as a comprehension aid of what they're saying. So I write down while they're talking. I mostly never look at it again. I look at it for 3 reasons. One is to feed back to them in the same session an important word or phrase that they've used that they may not have heard themselves using, because it goes to the nub of the problem. I review my notebook to see if I can find something for you and I to talk about in these podcasts, and I review my notebook to see if I can find anything I want to blog about.
Yeah.
But, if we're going in that direction about preparation for calls so you make the best use of it, I've got 2 thoughts on that, which is some coaches, and I think you and I have both tried it and it doesn't work. Some coaches send out complex paperwork to be filled out by their clients in advance of the session. Do you remember Barrow got us all on something called, was it Assessment Generator? Where we tried to get people to prepare for the calls. And entrepreneurs don't like submitting to a process, okay? But some people come. I always say to them, have you come with an agenda? And I say at the end of the session, have we dealt with everything on your list, or is there anything else you still need to talk about? So I do a sort of little audit that they've got what they came for. But the ones that come without an agenda often say slightly apologetically, well, I don't really know what I want to talk about today. And I say what Michael Neal taught me, which is, oh, good, those are the best ones. Because they secretly do know that they're a bit embarrassed. So we've got to warm up to it often. And maybe they are being truthful when they say, I don't know, but it pops out during the session.
Yeah. I sometimes just send a swift email afterwards, just outlining the 1 to 3 things they said they'd do before the next time.
I don't do that, but I promise them any information during the course of it. I try 98% of the time to remember to follow up with it. Yeah. So later on, I might send a link or a book recommendation or something like that.
Yeah, because you, like me, I'm sure, think about your clients in between sessions.
So. Endlessly, yes, and send them emails saying, oh, I was thinking about you last night and blah, 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 or I say that to them in the question, in the session, or if they flag me in advance what they want to talk about, I think about that. And I often sort of have dreams about them or wake up thinking about them and send them a thought. And I'm sure sometimes it seems a bit odd to them. Why did I get this email from Judith apropos of nothing at all? It's usually because I've had a genius idea. Typically now I would PM them on Facebook, because what I notice happening a lot is after I've had a conversation with the client, I see all this stuff on Facebook that's relevant to the topic. So I send it to them on a PM, or I see blog fodder for them. So do you want to comment on this in a blog piece, or do you want to, share this or something like that? But it is, I do think about them a lot. In your case, how are you going to do that? Are you going to disseminate that in the membership site for the benefit of all? So I was thinking about Mary today and her dilemma is X and here's my thoughts, or are you going to keep it private?
Well, it's interesting you should ask that, because in another forum that I'm in, which uses the same software, they've introduced private threads, so you can actually talk to the person who runs the forum privately, because he felt that a lot of people weren't stating their challenges because they were embarrassed or didn't want to expose themselves in public, kind of thing.
Yes.
So what he does is he replies privately and coaches you privately via the forum environment. But then what he does is he sees, like I've seen this week, a series of people having the same challenges. So he'll then start a thread in the forum about that particular challenge without naming any people.
Right. That's why I blog about it and put it in the newsletter. Yeah.
And you're creating content that everyone can benefit
and also because there's so many common themes, aren't there?
Yes, there are.
They're not identical, but the theme is central.
Yeah. So the theme, just to beautifully put, Judith, the theme, to recap on this client challenge of the week then, is that nobody's going to care about your business as much as you do. You've got to delegate, not abdicate, and train. And training can be as simple as making a video showing someone how to do something and then they make the tick list. You've got to realise that they're separate people. So an admin and finance VA is different to a tech VA, is different to a copywriter, is different to a video editor, and nobody's going to be able to do all those things well. but you could get a general VA who coordinates those people. It's often less expensive to hire more expensive people because they take less time. What would you say about what we've talked about today? What would be your...
I think you've got all of the points there, actually. I had one I was going to make towards the end of the last point there, which is that thing about whether it's a private thread or a common thread. I think it's a fine line that's quite difficult to walk to get that right. You know, do I address this in the group or do I address it with the person?
Yeah. Rich Sheffrin used to say, that which is most personal is also most general.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think if you ever feel a feeling as a human being, the majority of the rest of the human race have also felt it.
Yeah. And if you go looking for how other people have solved that problem, you'll often find it.
Or see ways that they have, and there'll be one right for you. I think it's quite important to have a belief that these problems are not insurmountable.
Yes. And that is another thing that underlies a lot of the survey responses, the fact that they see a challenge and they think that's it. They give up. Whereas if you really set your mind to it, you can go under, over, round, through, whatever.
I think there's a reason why people might give up, is that, you know, it's going to require an extra boost of energy and you're already firing on all cylinders. It can be quite exhausting, and especially if you're trying to do all of these things yourself, and then the two ladies or the two helpers on which you relied have for their own personal reasons disappeared.
Yeah, totally. And then,
you know, that's a difficult business week, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
/ month.
Yes, it is. Okay, project updates then.
No, words of the week.
No, oh, good God, you know, I've totally forgotten that. Right, let me just cut. You tell us yours, and while I conjure one up.
Okay, I'm going with one that a client gave me last week, which is drain. And the sense in which she used it was when we allow people to, for instance, pick our brains incessantly and get their own needs met at the expense of our own. So nice people are particularly prey to being drained by other people because we don't know how to say no. And that's on a similar topic to the I don't know how to ask the cleaning lady to do what I want without offending her.
Yeah.
You know, it's draining, isn't it, to hold that space. Well, I hate that expression, actually. It's draining to allow people, you know what I'm saying, draining.
Yes, I do. My word's going to be delegate then, because you've got to learn to do it well to either the cleaning lady or your tech VA. And if there's something around the way you feel when you have to do it, there's like, I've got to get, you know, there's got to be a solution to that problem.
Yeah.
Project updates. I thought I'd have a look and see what the podcast is doing since the app launch.
Okay.
I probably had 30 downloads of the app,
Okay.
and I noticed an immediate uptick in the podcast downloads, which is interesting. I'm not sure if it's any other external factor. It might be.
And we can't say, can we? We can't say it's the app, can we?
We can't, no, and it could be the change we made to the website last week. So we
yes.
It's quite a noticeable difference. And I've got some figures for you. I thought you'd like something we could compare. So there's some good figures. There's a 10-day daily download average, which is up from 50 to 85. So our daily download average was 50 10 days ago, and it's now 85. And our 3-month daily download average is up from 55 to 70.
Okay.
So that's spreading it out over a longer period of time. So that 3-month daily average is probably the better indicator. It's a bit like, you know, the stock market when they have trailing moving averages.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens now going forward. But, you know, the charts, the lines on the charts are going in an upward direction. Put it that way.
That's very cheering, Nicola.
Yeah, I know. I was cheered when I saw it as well. So, yeah, I don't think there's much else to do with that. The only other thing is I'm talking to a lady who is, she is Mark Mawhinney's partner, Julia.
Yes, I know her. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Well, she's launched a new service where she's going to be, for X amount of months, she'll get you on X podcast interviews.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I'm talking to her this week, so I might give that a try, because if I could get on other...
Can you remember how much the X is, or did you just not want to say?
No, I don't want to say. So
okay,
because it's her business, and I had to ask her.
Could you let me know off podcast then?
Of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I got to say, I did give her some feedback that the fact that there was no indication of pricing at all anywhere on our website, no range of fees at all, nearly stopped me booking with her.
And how did she respond?
Well, she responded and told me the range of fees, so that was cool. But I thought, it is an interesting.
But she didn't amend her website.
Well, no, I don't imagine she would. A lot of people do this, and I have done it on occasions in the past myself, where they want to get you to talk to them. But I wonder how many people don't book to talk to you because they're scared.
Well, I think quite a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. I was helping a client yesterday who's a listener, and we were working on a document that she could give to business referrers. And we got to the bit where it said, what shall we do? What shall happen next? And it said, shall I get my client to call you? And I went, oh, no, I'd be absolutely horrified if somebody did that. Is there not, offer them that option. But I would like to say, can you please send me some information so I can read it first and then think about it and then make contact with the person? So, yeah, I tell you what I'm learning from what you've just said about Julia, which is why I didn't know what it costed, because I'd presumably gone and had a look and came up short. That would make me a non-ideal client of hers, because she hasn't answered that question before I need to talk to her.
Yeah, well, as I said to her, I've got a budget, and I know I don't, for a second, I think your service has a value. But the question is, how do you price that value, and how far away is my budget and your value? And she came back, and actually her fees were well within my budget.
Yeah.
But I nearly didn't book to talk to her because of that.
Yeah. Yes, and no, and I think that's right, and good feedback for her.
Yeah. Okay, finally, who or what's impressed?
Well, I've got rather a lot to tell you in this section. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, because mine's quite quick. I was watching a Gary Vee thing, I don't know how or why, and I ended up on a website that is selling sticky Post-it notes with Gary Vee quotes on. And I thought, oh, that's really fun. They make lovely presents for people, and they were about $7 a pack. And I thought that'd be really nice. I'd give Phoebe one, and Nelson one, and perhaps buy a few more. And anyway, I couldn't buy because they had US or Canada only on their website. It was a Shopify store, and so I fired off a quick thing through the contact thing saying, "What no UK?" I think my message was. And he came back immediately, this young man. His name is Michael Russo of mystickyquotes.com. He fired back immediately and said, I'll turn on international shipping immediately. And I'm now going to go and buy at least 10 of these things, because I've realised they're limited edition where I didn't before. Whereas before I was only going to buy 2. So he's going to make more money. But I've got to tell you, I was very impressed with that, and I've read his little story about how he came to produce inspirational Post-it notes, and he's only 22. I mean, that's absolutely astonishing. And mystickyquotes.com, highly recommend.
And also fast and responsive customer service. Yay!
Yeah, we like that, don't we? Tell me all about yours then.
Well, I've got 2 recommendations to 2 films you're going to absolutely love, Nicola. So if you've got a biro handy, you need to write this down, okay? They are both films, coincidentally, about black women in the 60s in America. And the first one is called Loving. And it's about a white man called Richard Loving who marries a black lady called, what's her name? Mildred. And they live in Virginia, where it's not legal for them to live together, despite the fact that they are married, because it's an interracial marriage, which is not legal in the state of Virginia at that time. They had to go to Washington to get married, and they came home, which is about 150 miles away. They came home proudly with their wedding certificate, banged it up on their bedroom wall, began to set up house together with one another, and were immediately arrested and thrown into prison for it. They were both bailed, and they were told that their only choice if they wanted to remain married was to leave the state and never come back for 25 years. So this was in 1962, 3, 4, something like that. So they went to live in Washington and they had 4 babies, and he was a wonderful provider because he worked in the building industry. But one day, one of her children was nearly killed in the street. And she said, I can't live here. I need to go back to the country. She wasn't a city dweller. She was a farmer's daughter. She wanted to be back where her family were and where she came from. So they went back to live as close as possible without crossing the state line, because otherwise they would both have had to go to prison for 25 years. Cut a long story short, when they lived in Washington, there was a lot of sort of Martin Luther King and political activity about rights for black people. And she wrote to Robert Kennedy, who was the Attorney General at the time. He said, I can't help you. But he put her in touch with the ACLU, which is the American Civil Liberties Union. And 2 lawyers took their case all the way to the Supreme Court. And in 1967, it became legal in America for interracial marriage. And so they were able to live happily ever after. And it was a true story, based on a true story. Now, they were not political people. They just wanted to live happily together because they were in love and bring up their children in the country. And it was just a terribly moving, fairly recent story. Now, I Googled, because of your situation, I Googled to see whether interracial marriage had ever been illegal in the UK. No, it wasn't, only in America.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
Isn't it? So the film is called Loving, and that was also their surname, which I think is lovely. But the other film is called Hidden Figures, and that's a play on words, because it was about the very, very clever, brainy, mathematician, computing type women who worked at NASA at the same time. And when they worked at NASA, it was rare for women to work there. And they had separate toilet facilities, canteen facilities, and they weren't even allowed to drink out of the same coffee cup or water fountain. Their facilities had the word coloured written on everything. Now, the 3 women that are brought out of this as the leaders, although there were way more than 3 black women that worked there, they were mathematically geniuses. One of them was the first black woman to become an engineer. One of them had to go to a white library and steal a Teach Yourself Fortran, which you'll remember as one of the early computer languages. Yeah. NASA were installing an enormous sort of football-sized IBM computer, which even the IBM men didn't know how to work. She got it working. And the other one was the only woman and the only black person in a room full of mathematicians who got the first American man into space and, more importantly, back again. And these women were, it tells you at the end of the film how they were trailblazers. And what I love about this story particularly, because the other one doesn't affect me, but this one particularly is if I ever think I've had it hard as a woman in business and in sums, I've certainly never had to go to a library where I wasn't allowed and to steal the book I needed to get the education I needed to advance my own career. And it's funny as well as sad. It's amazing when you see white people doing things like the boss in her room says, where do you go for 40 minutes every day? And she says, there isn't a coloured toilet for me to use in this building. When he discovers that she has to run 40 minutes to another building to go for a wee 3 times a day, he takes a sledgehammer and bangs down the sign and he says, we all pee the same colour at NASA. Wonderful moments like that make you cheer. Yeah. But, they all, and when she arrived in this room, this brain surgeon that was the only one that could do better maths than all the white men, they gave her own coffee pot because they didn't want to share theirs with her. I mean, disgusting behaviour that they had to overcome in order to pursue the brain potential that they had, despite all of the challenges that they had as women and as black women.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting. I mean, we could talk about this forever, but we won't. And
also, they're both from the 1960s is the point of this story, which is in my lifetime. I was already a young teenager when this was going on, Nicola. And but for women like that, I don't know where we would be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great story. Phoebe gets really. She struggles to watch films about the history because she just
I'm not surprised
about the women thing and gets really angry about the black thing too.
Well, I'm totally with her, but that's why I think that I do like watching these films because life is so different now, and that's why I'm so worried about things that are going on in the political world because all of these gains there's risks to them from, the right wing.
Yeah. Yeah, I just read a very interesting story in the Washington Post this morning, but we won't get into that. So...
No, I don't think we don't want to get into that, because we've got a lot of American listeners and everybody's entitled to their own political viewpoint on things. But two totally inspiring movies set at the same time. And I really like, I think I really like when they're based on real living people, because that's so much more inspirational than a fictional figure, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. That's why we enjoyed Vikings so much, because it was based on a real life Viking, a historical figure.
Yeah, I'll try and find the names of these three ladies. President Obama has certainly rewarded them all, because of course they're still alive and they're all about sort of 95 now.
Oh, marvellous. Good stuff. Okay, well, I'm going to look out for those films on Netflix and see if I can get them, if not on Netflix, then Amazon Prime, my new favourite place.
Okay, I think they're brand new movies, so you won't get them yet, but you'll probably not get them for 6 months or so, but I'll remind you, don't worry.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you next week. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.